everyone, this is my Evoto tutorial. So I'm going to be showing you this new app. So you can get Evoto just from here. You just type in Evoto, E-V-O-T-O, and you can download it from this website. Okay. And so when you open it, it looks like this. I have it here. And as you can see, I already have been editing a lot of photos on it. I am going to go ahead and create a project. I'll say Evoto tutorial. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to import an image that I already have saved here. So I'm just going to use this one, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it down to my Evoto app. I know you can't see it's just right below the window, but just know that I dragged it down to the Evoto little app icon on my Mac, and then I was able to get it to open. And here are the options. So they have like presets that you could start off with. So I like to go through and I like to just kind of see how it looks when you apply different ones. Okay. You know, a lot of these, when I apply them, you can't really tell that much of a difference. I do actually like that it's very subtle, and you know, it's something that you know, when you're editing, you actually want something that is more natural feeling. I like that it's AI, but it doesn't look AI, you know, unless you go like really heavy handed with it, which I try not to do. So, you know, I'm applying these different ones, and you kind of have to play around with these things just to kind of see what you like. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, I might go to color. You know, I usually like things a little bit more bright, and I actually like things a little bit more colorful. So that's my style. If you have a different style, you can play with it until you get to the style that you like. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with something like this. So I'm going to do from presets, I'm going to go with color, and I'm going to go ahead and let it be at bright. I'm going to go ahead and reduce it just a little bit. I don't like to ever leave anything usually at 100%. And I'm going to start editing with these panels on the right. Just this preset just gives you a starting off point, and then from there you have to kind of fine tune it. Okay. So you start with filters, and these are additional filters. So presets and filters are different, but they seem very similar, and they're going to kind of just like globally colorize your photo for you. And then from there, you can make some minor adjustments to each individual area. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just start clicking on these different filters to see what I like. Now, what I kind of want a little bit more color on her skin. So I'm going to see which one seems to do a really good job of that. And I usually like warm skin tones. So I'm going to go ahead and go with PO4, and I'm going to bring the amount down a bit because it's like very strong. I don't want the whole photo like that orange. And so I'm going to go ahead and go with like maybe 32 just because it adds a little bit more color, which I do like. And then from there, I just kind of play around with like the features, you know, or the different sliders to see what I like. The exposure, I'm going to try to lift it a little bit more to see if I like that. I usually like things a little bit brighter. So I do like that, but I look at the skin to make sure it doesn't start to get a little bit too bright. And I'm looking at my highlights to make sure that my bright areas don't get too bright. You know, you want to keep the details in those areas. So you want to make sure that they never get super, super bright. Brightness is if you want it like even brighter, you know, which I actually do like it a little bit brighter. So I'll go ahead and increase that just a little bit. And then highlights, you know, usually you want to bring down the highlights, and it already automatically adjusted that. As you can see, it actually already automatically adjusted a lot of these different areas. That's what's really great about it, is that it does a lot of the work for you when it comes to that. That's what the presets and the filters are doing when you click on those. So, and then from there, if you like wanted to fine tune it some more, you can. Okay. So I'm going to just go ahead and leave most of these. I'm going to go down to color calibration, and then I'm actually going to calibrate my colors just a little bit just to see. And really what I do with this is I just kind of like go kind of extreme on like one side and the other, and I kind of see like which one I kind of like more, you know? And I feel like I want her skin tones a little bit more like, you know, a little bit warmer and a little bit more pink. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce red primary, the hue, and I'm going to see if I like it a little bit more saturated. I kind of do. I kind of like that right there, you know, and then it already adjusted the green for me. And I'm going to see, because there's like blues in the dress, I'm going to see which one kind of makes the blues pop out more. And I feel, because you'll kind of notice that if I go this way, it goes purple, right? And then this way it makes it more blue, and I want that blue to pop. So I'm going to adjust that as well. So I'm trying to find ways to really make certain colors in this picture pop. And usually I'll pick, like whatever seems to be a feature color in the dress or in the photo. In this case, it's going to be blue. And then also I want, her lipstick and her cheeks to really be, like very red. So I definitely want to play with that a little bit. Now, there's more adjustments. You've got color grading, you've got like details if you want to sharpen the image, which I kind of do. I'm going to zoom in. I'm using hotkeys on my Mac. It's Command and then the plus sign to, zoom in on a Mac computer. But as I'm going to zoom in by the eyes, I'm going to notice that it's a little bit soft. So I'm going to increase the sharpness. And it does a really good job of sharpening it without it looking too crazy. Okay. And then the radius, I'm going to go ahead and increase, or I'll just leave that actually. And then the details, I'm just going to play with it and see what happens when I adjust it a lot and see if I like it. And so I like it, but I want to reduce it obviously. So I'm going to bring it down to 35. So basically, and then I'm also going to do a little bit of noise reduction, which is like I kind of can tell it's a little bit grainy and I want it a little bit softer. So I'm going to be increasing that as well, but not too much because I want to keep that texture in there and I don't want to overdo it. I'm going to zoom out by using Command and the minus sign on my Mac. Okay, I'm going to kind of look at it. I kind of feel like it's a little bit too much when I look at it this way, so I'm going to reduce the noise reduction a little bit more. Okay. Now, if you click on this right here, this little feature will actually show you the before and after. So this is what I started with, and this is where I'm at right now, and I love it. As you can see, the skin tones look really good. They pop, and overall the colors are saturated, but not looking like crazy oversaturated. It's just so subtle, and it does such a good job. Now, I do want it to be a little bit brighter in the shadows, so let me go ahead and look at the shadows, and I'm going to lift the shadows a bit more. Okay. Just to help and make it a little bit brighter in this area right here. I want to make sure it doesn't get too dark back there. So I'm going to go ahead and, lift the shadows quite a bit actually. And as you can see, even when I do that, it still does a really good job of keeping it so that it looks very natural. And here's the before. And then here's the after. Okay, so it's fantastic. Now here's the part of Evoto where I think it really starts to get very magical. Now before that, you're going to find that this kind of operates like this section right here is sort of very similar to Lightroom. Okay, now that's great. We love Lightroom, but we have Lightroom. It's like, okay, do we really need like, another app for this? And it's like, well, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But when you get to this part, which is the portrait retouching part, this is the part where it starts to get really, really good. Okay. So it has all these little areas that you can fix if you need to. Okay. And, this is Charlotte and she's a kid. And usually, especially if you take time to do just a tiny bit of makeup and hair, like kids usually have great skin. They don't need a lot of this editing, but especially when it comes to adults and especially when it comes to, like certain things like maybe, this person, they normally don't have a double chin, but like, they might have held their head weird just a little bit. It will actually edit those areas, very naturally for you in a way that would normally take you like 10-15 minutes per item or per area. A lot of times in Photoshop, it'll do it for you in a couple seconds. And that's why Evoto is fantastic. Now I'm going to show you on this photo really fast what it can do. So, in this case, she doesn't really have a lot of face shine or, any of this, if like you want to enhance freckles, which, we don't need to do, lip wrinkles and flakes, I will do that. Okay. So watch, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go ahead and go to lip wrinkles and flakes, and I'm going to just go ahead and adjust this right here because she does have some stuff on her lips that I want to get rid of. Okay, so here's the before and here's the after. As you can see, even when I push it to 100, it's very natural. And that's what I really love about this. Like, it's very subtle. It doesn't look super crazy, So here it is back to 0, and then here it is at 100. This is why I love Evoto so much. It's really good at doing that right there. So it's just like very subtle, even when you push it a lot. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 100, which I almost never do. But on Evoto, because it's so soft about the way that it does it, I can leave it on 100 like that. And, it is being a little bit like glitchy. So there are times when I have to kind of like click back into, the home screen and then I'll go back to my album because, again, it's like new. It does have a couple of these little like quirks that you have to work with, but just kind of get used to doing it. It's not a big deal and it does work very well for the editing everything that you need. Okay. Forehead wrinkles, all this other stuff, like, we already went over those, but she doesn't really need any of that. Double chin, she doesn't need that, but I'll just try to show you what it does on the double chin, just because she does have, like, not really, but just like a tiny bit, just so you guys can see some of these other features. So if I push it to 100, look at that, right? You see how, like, subtle it is? It's really amazing, like, how it does that, And so, I don't really like that. I think it looks like a little bit weird. I actually want a little bit of fat right there, but I'll adjust it just by a little bit, okay? Now, other things that it can do, so skin retouching, she doesn't really need a lot, but you can do dodge and burn, so you can kind of, increase some of the contrast. I'll show you what it's at, like, with 100 versus 0. It's very subtle, but like every little adjustment actually does have a lot. I'm going to open up this history right here. This is the little clock with the, arrow that shows you it's going backwards, which means that, you can go back and see what it looks like. So you can see it before and after. Some of these don't really do a lot. A lot of it is because, she already has, like pretty good lighting and stuff on her. So it doesn't really need a lot of this stuff. But, you can kind of play around with it to see if it makes a difference and to see if you like it. Skin texture, this is like if you want it matte, if you want it, satin, and if you want it very dewy. Dewy to me looks a little bit crazy, like a little bit too AI. I guess, I could try to like reduce it if I really wanted to, but I don't really like it at all. If I'm ever going to do anything, I usually do matte or I'll do satin just a little bit. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go with matte for this one. And I'm going to go ahead and go down to Unify Face Complexion. Sometimes I like to do a little bit of that. And Skin Complexion, just because I do feel like, her skin is a little bit, it's like I feel like it could be a little bit more even. She does have like a little bit of a tan in certain areas. I want to unify it, but not too much, because I don't ever like it to look like it's overdone. Okay. And, her face looks a little bit bright to me right now. So, this part's really interesting. You can actually add a skin color. Now, I like to add skin color just to help give it a little bit more warmth sometimes. I usually really love this one right here. Okay, this one. And then I usually like to reduce it, and I'll set it to like, 33, or, just like, I'll reduce it until I like it. So here's the before and here's the after. Okay. Now, temperature for the skin and tone, I don't really need to change any of that. Skin radiance is if you want her skin to be brighter. I don't really want that. I feel like her skin looks a little bit too bright for the rest of the image. So, I'm going to go ahead and reduce that a little bit. Rosy complexion is if you want a little bit of pink in there. Okay. I don't really like it too much, but I actually like a little bit of it. I think it helps to make them look a little bit more alive, I guess. You don't want it to be like blue or green. Usually they start to look very alien and cold and dead. So, I want to go ahead and add a little bit of rosy complexion. Facial reshape, I'm not going to do any of that, but you can if you want. Sometimes, you'll kind of notice, like, maybe, if you had tilted just a little bit more this way, it would be a little bit more flattering, or, whatever. So you can go ahead and change, the tilt of their face if you need to. Okay, but like, I don't usually really adjust those. Face shape, eyebrows, eyes, nose. I don't really do too much with this stuff. Sometimes I might add a soft smile. So under facial expression, you're going to find gentle smile. And look, you can kind of adjust it just a little bit, or you can kind of adjust a lot. Looks a little bit weird when it's too much, in my opinion, but a little bit, I actually feel like it does a pretty good job. Okay. So I actually like that. I'm going to add a little bit of a smile to her face. Nothing crazy, but just a tiny bit. Okay. It starts to look a little bit fake if you overdo it. Eyes, you can come over here and you can start adding a little bit more of a reflection. So for this part, I'm going to go ahead and zoom into her eyes. Okay. I'm using my hotkeys for this. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see if I like the brightness higher. Okay. So I'm going to increase the brightness, kind of a lot, but not like, crazy amount. I'm going to see if I want to add a little bit more of a catch light, which she already has one. But sometimes, it might look better with a little bit more, as if there was just a little bit more in the sky or something above her that helped, enhance the lights. So I'm going to play around and see which one looks good and also natural. And usually to check and see if it looks natural, I like to zoom out a lot. Okay. And that actually looks okay. So I'll go ahead and leave that. Makeup, we already did a little bit of makeup before the shoot, so, I think it looks pretty good. I don't need to add any, but if you want to, you can. Okay, so you can actually add makeup through here. Again, very soft, very subtle. And then hair, her hair is something that I'm definitely going to be working on, because, I see a little bit of these areas that need a little bit more, to be cleaned up. So come here to hair, and it says remove stray hairs. Okay, now watch. I can actually push that to 100% and it actually does do a pretty good job. It looks a little bit plasticky, which I don't like, but overall I think it's pretty good, you know? And you have the option of doing it within figure lines, okay? Or without figure lines, you know? Um, sorry, without figure outlines or within figure outlines, okay? I like it within figure outlines, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave that. And we're going to, you know, see if we can push it out a little bit more. I think we want to leave a little bit of it, and I'm going to probably have to manually remove some of them. But let me kind of get it to the point where I get rid of this one as much as possible. But I don't want to do it too much because I think it starts to look a little bit too plasticky. And what I'm going to do to get rid of the rest of them is I'm going to come over here to this tool, which is the Band-Aid tool. And I'm going to reduce the size of it by going down on my left bracket key, okay? It's the one by the letter P on your keyboard. And then I'm going to just go ahead and make it, I'm going to undo that because that was a little bit too much. I'm going to reduce the size a little bit more, zoom in a little bit more, reduce it, and I'm going to just try to just only get the hair, okay? And it's still like creating, it's bringing too much of that highlight right there. So let's see if I can do it even more, okay? That's perfect. That's actually pretty good. I'm going to do this area right here too, just to help kind of blend in that area a little bit better. And that right there is like not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and do that to this hair right here too. So I find that usually if you just use the patch tool, or not the patch tool, the healing brush tool to really target these little hairs, it's a little bit better, and you can get rid of some of these you know, these hairs that way. And then sometimes I'll actually like kind of go over this area to kind of help fix, you know, that weird little like circle dot that appeared. I just kind of try to like use it to kind of blend it, if that makes sense. So I'll just kind of use it around that area to get rid of, you know, any weird, you know, weird issues like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out some more. After you're done using the Spa Healing Brush tool, you have to hit OK. And this one, this hand right here, lets you, when you click on it, it lets you move around your photo to get to a different spot, okay? So it's just like to move your photo around. So this one, sorry, I'm going to go to this one right here, which is the liquify tool. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to use it to push around the dress so that I get a little bit more of like a pop and a little bit more volume on this, this arm right here. And, you know, it's like the same effect that I would get. I never try to push it too much with this stuff, but it's the same effect that I would get if I went and actually like always fluffed up this area right before the shoot. We always fluff a lot, but you know, a lot of times, like when the model moves a little bit, it loses that puff, and it just starts to get to be a lot to constantly have somebody in there because, you know, your model, they're children, they start to get kind of tired and they get like kind of cranky. So a lot of times I won't like over adjust once we start shooting because the kids just start to get very, you know, uncomfortable and very unhappy. And what I'll do is I'll just like plan on fluffing it again in post with this, but I never fluff it beyond what is actually capable if I had like physically walked in and fluffed every, you know, minute or so before like, you know, shooting. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, increase my size so that it's easier for me to move a huge part of the dress, and I'm going to fluff it a little bit more. Okay. Now, the skirt, you can obviously fluff up more because, you know, when you fluff up the skirt, because there's so much material, you actually like, you know, if you do it properly, you could actually get a lot out of it. So this is the before and that's the after. Okay, so here is what it looks like now. Here's the before, here's the after. I'm going to click OK. That before and after just showed you what it looked like with just that adjustment before you hit OK. After you hit OK, when you hit this, it shows you the full adjustments that you've made on the photo. So here's the before and here's the after. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. Let me grab the hand, which it's on. Hold on, the hand. And let me pull it up and you guys can see it again. Okay. So this is what Evoto does, and it's pretty amazing. I definitely recommend it. You know, it's really fast and really easy. I'll show you why it's so good. So this is what I love about Evoto. This is what I've done in terms of editing, and I'm done with one photo already. Now, I went to Finder, and I found some more photos that I, you know, favorited, and I also wanted to edit. And I'm going to go ahead and grab these, and I'm just going to, you know, throw them into Evoto. And then I'm going to take the one that I edited, and I'm going to hit Command C, and that's going to copy it, all of the edits that I did, including the minor adjustments, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and hit Command V, and this is on a Mac. On a Windows, it might be different, but I'm going to actually paste this edit into each of the photos that I threw into here, and bam, it did like such a great job of just editing all of these other photos. Now, sometimes, you might need to adjust them just a little bit because, the coloring and everything is just a little bit different. So I'll go back in and I'll be like, oh, this one looks a little bit pink for some reason. So, I'm going to reduce the pink just a little bit. I'm going to say, oh, it's a little bit more, this one's a little bit more blurry or soft. In fact, it's a little bit too soft. I would actually, now that I see it bigger, I'm going to throw that one out. I'm going to probably bring in this one instead, and I'm going to copy and paste it onto this one. So, look, even her hair, you're going to notice that it actually adjusts the hair, except for her hair, I'm going to have to do just this part of her hair right here. So I'm going to go to the Band-Aid tool, which is the spa healing brush. And I am going to just go over this, these little stray hairs right here with the spa healing brush, okay? And I'm gonna just, I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit, but right here, okay, I'm gonna hit okay. I'm gonna go to the hand and I'm going to zoom in some more. And I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit more just to make sure it looks okay, because like I wanna make sure that I really look at this area, just to make sure it's like nice and clean in this area right here, okay? And right here, okay, this part. It's kind of extending her eyebrows, which I definitely don't want, but oh, you're gonna have to mess with this. Okay, so I'm gonna have to reduce the size here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit OK, and then I'm gonna go to the before to see how it looks. And it actually didn't adjust too much of her eyebrows. I was worried it did something like really weird to adjust her eyebrow shape, but it didn't. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave a lot of that, okay? So that's what it looks like. Looks pretty good, right? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to hit OK. You always have to hit OK. So what you're gonna do is after you're done, these are the edits, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna also adjust this right here with the little spa healing brush. Okay. I'm going to leave a little bit of it in this one. I think it looks a little bit better with it. And just for the interest of time, And then I'm going to also adjust this one a little bit, okay? So just a tiny amount. I don't want to do too much. I'm going to go back in with the spa healing brush again. And I'm going to do like right around here and right around there. I don't want to like overdo this, okay? So I'm going to hit OK, okay? So now I've got this one I'm going to toss because it's like too blurry. We realize, okay? And if this one I think is a little bit too pink, so I'm gonna go back to the filters. I'm gonna go to, or the basic, and I'm gonna reduce the green, or I mean increase the green, reduce it in the tint, okay? So that's a little bit less red. I'm actually gonna go to this right here as well, the portrait part, and I'm gonna look at her skin because I think the part that adds the rosy complexion needs to be reduced a little bit. So right here, the rosy complexion part, which is right here under the skin section. So I'm going to reduce that a little bit more. And look at the other ones. The other ones actually look pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. So 1, 2, 3, 4 photos edited really well. This would have normally taken me like just like couple hours in Photoshop, and we did that in a couple minutes, okay? This is why I love Evoto. It's very accurate. It does a very good job. It's nice and subtle in a way while also hitting a lot of areas that you really need to have done. Areas that you do need to do more manually is going to be stuff like liquify if you want to like adjust a little bit more of like the puff in the dress, things like that. It won't really do that until you go in manually for each photo because that's not something that you can copy and paste over. But in this part, in this photo, you can kind of tell it was already kind of nice and puffy anyway, so it didn't really need that. But sorry, you always have to hit OK afterwards. And this one, you can do it a little bit here too. So it's actually like very quick, easy adjustments that you can do for each photo afterwards. But as you can see, it does a lot of like the coloring and lighting stuff for you very quickly without you having to do, sorry, I keep making that same mistake. And, it's nice that it actually gives you that like pop-up notification to let you know. But yeah, so here I'm gonna, just finish up this part, just kind of add a little bit more of a puff for each one. Hit OK, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. I'm going to go to the first one. I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to select the last one and then I'm going to hit export and that will export all 4 photos for me. So I'm going to go, I like it on folder of original photo. And it's going to automatically create subfolder gallery, custom file name. I have to change the file name. So I'm going to say, wild lilies. Okay. And I'm going to hit export. Okay. And then what you do is you then go to that folder and you're going to find that when you do, it will have, I'm going to go all the way down. It's going to have this gallery. And as you can see, it's here. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's, all the photos are already edited and they look fantastic. So this is why I love this. Look at it. It's so fast. It's so easy. It's just so much easier to use than Photoshop. And it's just been a lifesaver, like such a game changer, I guess is a better way of putting it. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for, thank you for watching it and thank you for being a part of our community.